Welcome to the Alumni Mentoring Scheme Preparatory webinar. First of all, thank you all for signing up to the scheme. We hope you'll find it useful. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joe Shields and I'm working in the Department of Economics. And together with my colleague Jess Welkley, we will be running this webinar and coordinating the scheme for the rest of the year. I will now pass you over to Jess, who will run through with you the aims of the scheme and give you a little more of an idea of what to expect over the next 6 months.
Aims of the scheme. Through your participation in the scheme, we aim to succeed in the following. Match you with a suitable mentor who will allow you to gain insights into the professional world. The scheme also aims to improve your networking confidence through additional career opportunities, such as networking events. And overall, we consider that the scheme will aid to increase your career motivation and enhance commercial awareness. What is involved in the scheme? The core of the scheme is comprised of the one-to-one contact you receive with your designated mentor. However, the scheme is not limited there, as it also offers additional career development opportunities, a good example of which is highlighted in this image. For those of you who didn't attend, the photo is taken from a networking event we held on the 27th of November. Alumni and students who participated found the event to be a very useful and positive experience. However, do not worry if you are unable to attend this time round, as we are planning to hold a similar event for all scheme participants towards the end of the second semester. We will notify you of any additional opportunities, and it is important to remember that both aspects of the scheme contribute towards your professional progression.
Jess has already told you a little bit about what to expect from the scheme, but there are certain things that the mentoring relationship should not be a replacement for. I'm sure you will already know most of these, but it's worth reiterating them just to make sure everyone is clear. Firstly, it is not an alternative form of academic support. You all have personal tutors that will be able to help you with this if needed. Also, most departments have sessions that will be happening throughout the year to help you with certain aspects of academia, for example numeracy or essay writing. Secondly, it should not be a personal relationship. While we encourage you to try and be friendly with your mentor, you should remember to try and keep things professional at all times, and that there will be aspects of your life that do not need to be shared. Thirdly, it is not a counselling service. If this is what you require, then there is one available to all university students over in Freeman's Common. This last point is an important thing to keep in mind. You should not be going into the scheme with the expectation that you'll be able to gain an internship or a placement opportunity. A lot of our alumni are just not in a position to provide these. While some students last year were lucky enough to use the mentoring scheme as a route into an internship, this should not be your primary goal. Moving on to communication. We anticipate the scheme to run primarily as an e-mentoring initiative. We have alumni signed up from all 4 corners of the UK and even further afield. As a result, there will be limitations on how you can communicate. However, by using email, phone, and Skype, you can still gain a lot from your mentoring experience. We would particularly encourage you to try and use phone or Skype, as these can help to foster a better relationship between yourself and your mentor. You should remember to discuss with your mentor exactly which method of communication you are most comfortable with using throughout your first set of correspondences. That way, you can ensure that you are both clear when moving forward. Once again, you should not go into this scheme with the expectation that you'll be able to have a face-to-face meeting with your mentor. For many alumni, this just will not be possible. However, if you are lucky enough that both yourself and your mentor are happy to meet face-to-face, then we would ask that you send us a quick message notifying us as such, so that we can update our own records. Also, in keeping with the professional nature of your relationship, we would ask that you try to meet in neutral locations, such as coffee shops or at the university campus.
The matching process. We are currently in the stages of matching you all with your mentors. We will inform you all of your matches in early January, and this is where the one-to-one aspect of the scheme can begin. I will now just provide you with an insight as to how the matching process will work. As we have had many students sign up to the scheme, we consider it is only fair to prioritise matches by student involvement. This means if you attended the networking event, you are being matched first, those who attended prep sessions second, and those of you encountering the prep for the first time via this webinar will be next. Having said that, we do have a large number of alumni involved in this scheme, and therefore the majority of you should find yourselves with a suitable match. Do also note that the matches are primarily based on the career interest you stated on your application form, not necessarily by your department. The majority of disciplines are able to enter similar career fields, so it may be worth bearing this in mind if you are not matched with someone who has completed the same degree as yourself. Initial contact. It will be your responsibility to make first contact with your mentor, and this is to be carried out at the beginning of January upon receiving your match. We will provide you with a template email that will serve as a guide as to what you may wish to include in your initial contact to your mentor. You must also ensure either myself or Joe are CC'd in your initial email, so we are aware of who has completed this stage. You will not be required to CC us in any further correspondences. Communication follow-up. We ask you to communicate with your mentor at least twice a month throughout the duration of the scheme to ensure you get the most out of your experience. This, of course, does depend slightly on your communication method, as we would certainly expect a minimum of 2 emails per month. However, should you have an hour-long Skype session with your mentor instead, this could be sufficient. As always, should you wish your communication method to be changed or extended, do converse and agree upon this with your mentor, and they should do likewise.
We will now move on to give you a few pointers on email etiquette. Most of these will be quite self-evident to you, but we do need to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Firstly, you should try to respond to communications in a timely manner, and secondly, follow through on any commitments. These two go hand in hand, really. Very little will damage a professional relationship more than tardiness or reneging on your promises. Another point worth mentioning is that we do expect you to lead conversations with your mentors. You will really get out of this scheme as much as you put in. Your best chance to make the most out of the expertise of our mentors is by asking the questions that you want answers to, and by leading the conversations into areas that you want to learn more about. Your mentor cannot and will not do this for you. What if the mentor you get is not in a field you are directly interested in? We have a large number of alumni currently signed up to the scheme in a variety of different roles. However, we also had a lot of interest from students. As a result, we cannot guarantee that you will be paired with someone who is directly working in a field you are interested in. However, there are still many advantages that you can gain by working with a mentor, regardless of his or her specific discipline. Firstly, you can help to improve your own transferable skills. There are certain skills that are valued by all employers, regardless of their specific industries, such like communication, teamworking, and networking. During interviews and assessment centres, you will be asked to demonstrate these attributes. Therefore, if you feel you are deficient in any key areas, you should be doing everything you can to improve on these. Our alumni will all have different ideas based on their own experiences about how to improve these transferable skills, and this is your chance to learn from their knowledge in order to influence your own development. You may also gain career assurance. By learning more about other professions, you may find you are more enthused than ever to follow the career path you were originally interested in. This is also a chance to learn more about other professions that you may interact with in the future. In almost any job that you may end up going into, you will be forced to work with individuals from a variety of different backgrounds and specialisms. By learning more about these different areas now, you may be able to work more efficiently and communicate with them better in the future. Also, it's always useful to remember that recruitment policies can be very similar from field to field. All big graduate recruiters will use interviews and assessment centres involving similar sorts of questions and exercises. You can learn from your mentor's experiences in these, regardless of their specific role that they were going for.
Preparing questions. What type of questions should I ask my mentor? It is worth considering what questions you would like to ask your mentor in advance of your communications to ensure you are receiving the answers and information you want to receive. In order to aid this, you may want to consider asking open-ended questions rather than closed ones. For example, the following question, "What is your degree?" is a closed question, and you would not be able to obtain much useful information from this. It is a direct question requiring a single detail. However, should you ask the same question but in a different way, you could glean far more information from this. Pause this video now and see if you can turn "What is your degree?" into a more open question that will provide you with a far more insightful answer. Hopefully, your question was very similar to this. How has your degree choice influenced your choice of employment, and how has it helped you to succeed? This question is far more open and allows the person answering this question to provide you with much more detail in their answer. Here are a few more potential questions you may wish to ask your mentor.
A lot of you may have already come across SMART targets, but for those of you who haven't, I will run over them with you now. I have found SMART targets personally particularly useful in the past, and while their use is not obligatory, we feel they may be useful for you to get the most out of your mentoring experience. Basically, SMART represents an acronym which outlines 5 different criteria. If adhered to, these criteria will help you to produce targets that will be far more helpful rather than just purely aspirational ones. Firstly, the S in SMART stands for specific. Try to make your goals less vague and more focused, specific. Particularly, you should be concentrating on the 4 W's: who, what, where, and why. The M stands for measurable. Try to incorporate a method to show how well you may be progressing towards your chosen target. For example, if your target was to apply for 4 graduate schemes, the amount you have applied for will be the measure of your progress. The A stands for achievable or attainable. By splitting your overarching goals into more attainable chunks, you can increase your chances of achieving them. The R stands for realistic. Now, this will be different for all of you, as you are all at different levels in your own career development. However, you should make sure that you are both willing and able to reach your targets. The T in SMART stands for time-bound. This is particularly important. By attaching a personal deadline to your targets, you can gain a better understanding of your own progression and incentivize yourself to complete them. You can use the SMART formula throughout your professional development, but we also feel that it will help you to get the most out of this scheme. By communicating with your mentors and gaining a better understanding of the industries you want to go into, you may find you are in a better position to create these smarter targets, and are therefore better placed to reach your goals. If you would like to learn more about SMART targets, there is a link below to a website that outlines everything I have already mentioned in a little bit more detail.
End of the scheme. The scheme will close at the end of the 2nd semester, within the last week of March. At this point, you are likely to thank mentors for the help you have received. It would also be a good opportunity to share with them what you have learned from the experience, and will be a chance to gain clarity on the next steps you will take in order to continue your career development. However, should you have built a good relationship with your mentor throughout the duration of the scheme, there is no reason as to why you could not remain in contact. The end of the scheme just acknowledges the end of our involvement in the process, and so we would actively encourage you to maintain a professional relationship with a mentor if appropriate. Scheme requirements. There are just a few things we will require from you in return for this great opportunity. Firstly, as we have mentioned before, it is a minimum requirement that you communicate with your mentors twice a month. Also, as you are all ambassadors for the university, We would expect you all to remain professional throughout your communications with mentors. The Alumni Mentoring Scheme is currently going through the process of applying for HEAR accreditation. For those of you who don't know, HEAR stands for Higher Education Achievement Report, and this is a document that is automatically attached to all of your degrees. The purpose of a HEAR is to prove active involvement in things such as training outside of your degree. The Leicester Award, for example, is something that would be placed on your degree transcript. There is a likelihood that we can have the mentoring scheme reach HEAR status, and as such, there will be some work required from you in order for you to receive your HEAR. This would include submitting 1 log entry per month, approximately 250 words. This will simply be an opportunity to collate what you have gleaned from your one-to-one contact each month, and will be a document that is only shared between myself and Joe. The log also allows for us to see whether you are getting the most out of your opportunity, and allows us to help you if we consider this not to be the case. Towards the end of the scheme, you will also be required to complete a 500-word reflective piece that considers your experience of the scheme and how it may have helped you to progress further in your career development.
Moving on to the use of LinkedIn. A lot of you will already have a LinkedIn profile, or may have already listened to a similar presentation during the networking event. However, for those of you that haven't, I will go over a few of the advantages with you now. Firstly, it is a fantastic way to search for jobs. Most companies of all sizes will have a presence on LinkedIn and will post on the platform if they have any vacancies. Therefore, the site remains a useful resource for job hunting. It can also act as an online CV. Graduates have been known to have been headhunted directly off LinkedIn, and therefore by creating a profile, you are essentially increasing your chances of employment almost overnight. It is also a great way to connect with alumni. LinkedIn is a professional networking site, and therefore even if you don't know someone very well, you are more than welcome to try and connect with them. Another useful advantage of LinkedIn is being able to sign up to groups. All of your departments will have groups on LinkedIn, and I cannot stress enough how useful it would be for you to be part of these. You can find more about what's going on in each of your departments, and it also represents a ready-made database of alumni that you can search through in order to find contacts in professions that are of particular interest to you. You can also follow specific companies. A question that comes up in interview time and time again is, why do you want to join this specific company? By following them on LinkedIn, you can learn more about their work culture and practices, and therefore present a more informed answer. If you would like to learn more about LinkedIn, we do have some videos below that you can watch in your own time.
Contact and support. Should you have any questions or encounter any problems throughout the duration of the scheme, please contact either myself or Joe. So, what have you learned? We would like to take this opportunity to thank you for listening to our short presentation. Now, if you could please complete the short quiz available at the link below, this will guarantee your place on the scheme.